Hello friends, I hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to discuss a very important concept of cloud, and it is regarding Azure storage. And we'll be talking about the redundancy of the data that is stored inside Azure storage. So you all must be aware that Azure storage always stores multiple copies of your data just for the sake of protection from disasters or any unplanned events or any hardware failures. So the redundancy ensures that your storage account meets its availability and durability targets. The services that comprise of Azure storage are managed through a common resource called storage account. The storage account represents a shared pool of storage that can be used to deploy storage resources such as blob containers, file shares, tables, or queues. So basically, the storage account stores four types of data that are listed. Now, we will be speaking about redundancy in the primary region. So by primary region, we means that the data will hold its redundancy in a one single region, and that will be the primary for it. There won't be a second region. So data in an Azure storage account is always replicated three times in the primary region. Azure Storage offers two options for how your data is replicated in the primary region. One is locally redundant storage, and then another is zone redundant storage. So what LRS, that is locally redundant storage, does is that it synchronously replicates three times your data inside the storage account within a single physical location in the primary region. Okay, it is the least expensive option, and you can't ensure highest availability or durability through it. Coming to zone redundant storage, it also replicates your data synchronously but across three availability zones in the primary region. Okay, and it somehow ensures high availability in the primary region. So compared to LRS, it is more available and more secure and ensures higher availability. Now let's look further into LRS in detail. So locally redundant storage, as I told you earlier, replicates your data three times within a single data center in the primary region. It offers a durability of 99.99 till 11.9% over a given year. So this is the SLA for LRS. It is the lowest cost redundancy option and basically protects your data against server rack or driver failures. However, if a disaster such as fire or flooding occurs within the data center, then all replicas of the storage account using LRS may be lost because it's in the single data center. Always remember, a write request to a storage account that is using LRS happens synchronously. Means it will be successful only when data is replicated to all the three replicas. As you can see in the diagram, there is a primary region within which there is a data center, and the data has been locally replicated thrice inside it. Okay, now let's move on to ZRS. ZRS basically means zone redundant storage, and it replicates your data synchronously. When I'm saying synchronously, you need to understand it is synchronous, that is instantaneous and simultaneous rather than asynchronous. Asynchronous means that the syncing isn't there. Okay, so it replicates your data synchronously across three Azure availability zones in the primary region. Each availability zone is a separate physical location with independent power, cooling, and networking, and it offers durability of 99.99 till 12 nines over a given year. So if you recall, LRS used to offer till 11 nines. So somehow it's more durable. With ZRS, your data is accessible for both read and write operations even if a zone becomes unavailable. Okay, a write request to storage account is done synchronously and is successful only when data is replicated to all the three availability zones. Microsoft recommends using ZRS in the primary region for scenarios that require high availability, because if a disaster is stuck in one zone, then your data will be safe in all the other zones, as in contrast with LRS, which won't be possible. So ZRS is more durable, more available, and much secure. Okay. Now let's move on to redundancy in secondary region. Now with secondary region, your data will be redundant across region. Okay. Earlier, as I told you, we were talking about the primary region only. Now we will have couple of regions, primary and secondary. And this is specifically for applications that require very high durability. Okay. Now, if your storage account is copied to a secondary region, then your data is durable even in the case of a complete regional outage or a disaster in which the primary region isn't recoverable. So suppose a very major disaster has struck, okay, and entire region is wiped out. Data of the entire region is wiped out. Then also your data will be secure in the secondary region. So this is on the offer through redundancy in a secondary region. When you create a storage account, you select the primary region for the storage account. The paired secondary region is determined based on the primary region and can't be changed. So basically what happens is when you select a primary region, okay, and you select redundancy across region, then the paired secondary region is determined by Microsoft and it can't be changed. So you don't have a choice over it. Secondly, it offers two options for copying your data to a secondary region. One is GRS and another one is GZRS. Okay, so there are two options: geo redundant storage and geo zone redundant storage. Now we will talk about geo redundant storage in detail. So geo redundant storage, it copies your data synchronously 3 times within a single physical location in the primary region using LRS. Okay, so first of all, it utilizes LRS in the primary region. Then it copies your data asynchronously to a single physical location in secondary region that is hundred of miles away. Okay, so what's happening over here? It is copying your data to a it then copies your data asynchronously. Okay, so this time the data is being copied asynchronous. Okay, you need to understand what does asynchronous means. Asynchronous means that there is no synchronization in the copying and it won't be simultaneous. Now GRS offers redundancy to the power of 16 nines, that is 99.999 to 16 nines over a given year. Okay, and becomes more durable compared to LRS or ZRS. A write operation is first committed to the primary location and replicated using LRS. The update is then replicated asynchronously to the secondary region. When data is written to the secondary location, it's also replicated within that location using LRs. Now look at this figure, right? There is a primary region and then there is a secondary region. There is a data center and inside which the data has been replicated thrice using LRs. Now, then there is a secondary region, there is a data center and the data has been replicated thrice using LRs. So what happens? We have 6 copies of data in GRS and we utilize LRS twice, once in secondary region, once in primary region. I hope GRS is clear to you. Now we will move on to Geo Zone Redundant Storage. Geo Zone Redundant Storage combines the high availability provided by redundancy across availability zones with protection from regional outage provided by geo replication. Okay, so what happens basically, data in GZRS storage account is copied across 3 Azure availability zones in the primary region. Okay, so in primary region we will utilize ZRS for the replication, and then we will replicate the data in secondary region using LRS. Okay, so what's happening over here? We are utilizing ZRS in the primary region and then we are utilizing LRS in the secondary region. How many copies of data we have? We have 6 copies of data. That is 3 plus 3. With a GZRS storage account, you can continue to read and write even if an availability zone becomes unavailable or is unrecoverable. So data over here is also durable for 99.99 till 16 lines over a given year. So I hope you are clear with that GZRS replicates your data in the secondary region and there are 6 copies overall. In primary region it is ZRS, in secondary region it is LRS replication. Okay. Now let's move on to read access to the data in the secondary region. So what is the meaning of read access? So basically when we utilize GZRS or GRS, you don't have read access to the data that is in the secondary region until and unless there is an outage and a failover occurs. Okay, you won't be able to access the data in the secondary region for read or write access. Now, what read access to data in secondary region does extra, that is RAGRS or RAGZRS option, it helps to you having read access to the data. Okay, you can read from the data from the secondary region even when you have data in the primary region. Okay, you will have two endpoints, that is primary as well as secondary. Okay, and secondary will be available for read access all the times, even when the failover is going on. If a disaster is struck in the primary region, your data will be accessible for the read operations in the secondary region. Always remember, a major difference is that you can't write to the secondary region till the time the failover is not complete and that secondary region is completely become primary. You will only have read access to data in secondary region, while in primary region you will have read and write access as well. So this completes our lecture on redundancy in storage account. Okay, we have 6 types of redundancies: LRS, ZRS, GZRS, GZRS, RAGRS and RAGZRS. Overall, the maximum copies of replica is 6. Okay, and the minimum copy of replica is 3. That is, in LRS and ZRS we have 3 copies. In GRS and GZRS we have 6 copies. In RAGRS and RAGZRS we have 6 copies. I hope I was able to sort out any sort of doubts regarding redundancy for Azure storage. Wish you all a great day ahead. Thank you for watching.